Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? We got to make every second count. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make the most out of every game day. Bet on your favorite teams for a shot at winning big bucks. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on any matchup. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now. Use code Shannon. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on the NFL. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Shannon. The crown is yours.
I am the diamond ring wearing, Rolex wearing, limousine riding, private jet flying, kid stealing, wheeling dealing. Woo, son of a gun that's having a hard time. Hold these gators down. Woo!
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Club Shay Shay. I'm your host, Shannon Sharp. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay. The guy that's stopping by for conversation and a drink today is world renowned. He's arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. He's been wrestling for over 50 years, the most decorated, celebrated world champion in sports entertainment history, a 16-time world champion, the only man to be a 2-time WWE Hall of Fame inductee, an international icon, a limousine riding, jet flying, kid stealing, wheeling son of a gun. Woo! Thank your boy, Ric Flair.
It's good, man.
How you doing?
Great. Man,
we got a toast. This is my cognac.
Okay.
I don't know if you drink cognac, but I got to toast
I don't, but I'll have some with you.
As we were telling y'all, cameraman, my grandfather used to drag us around the little small country towns before everybody knew who Ric Flair was.
What?
And that's when we fell in love with wrestling.
Thank you.
So it is an honor, and indeed honor, and a huge pleasure of mine to have you in this establishment.
I'm honored.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Huge fan.
How have you been?
I've been great.
You was telling me earlier, you've had some medical issues the last several years.
2017 was
2017 was a pretty rough year. Tell us what happened.
Well, it actually goes back to 2015. I had a bad stomach ache, but it came back and forth, right? And finally one day I woke up and it was really hurting me bad. So Wendy took me to the emergency room, my wife, and they were operating on me in 10 minutes, a ruptured appendix.
Oh, man.
So, you know the deal with the hospital, right? If you can't get out of there by 5 o'clock, they're gonna check in, right? I know that real well. So I like the outpatient stuff, right? So at 5 o'clock, they were gonna keep me, and I said, guys, I'm getting up. So I just got up, took the IV, took 10 steps, and I got a hernia. Right, so then, bingo, fix that. But while they were doing that, they nicked my bowel, which caused bowel obstruction. So that is a nightmare, right? That's one of the most, I've learned through just experience, that's one of the most horrifying things you can do. So it's 1 in a million, literally 1 in a million, that it will ever happen again. But I was drinking with a guy from Dallas in Tampa at a bar, and the next thing I knew, I woke up 31 days later. ICU for 31 days. Wow. Life support for 13 days. My intestine completely ruptured. I was septic. Total kidney failure, pneumonia, and respiratory heart failure.
Wow.
Yeah. And I.
You don't remember any of that?
None. And I had no memory. When I finally woke up, I had no memory. I had memory going forward, but I had no memory of my past for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Strange, right? And now I'm...
Healthy as a horse.
Yeah. I feel great. I mean, it's amazing.
We hear these great stories about your wrestling days and your partying in Buckhead. How were you able, because how were you able, because wrestling is such a taxing sport. How were you able to party all night and still do what you're doing in the ring?
I don't know. I call it God's gift, and I never missed a workout either. You know, we wrestled twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. I don't know. I like it. It's like I don't snort cocaine. I never have. I've eaten a few Xanax over the years on international flights, but I don't do any drugs, no painkillers. I haven't had any surgery, which is a miracle in itself.
No knee surgery, no hip,
no knees, no hips, nothing.
Couple of back surgery.
None.
None.
I broke my back in an airplane crash. You knew that, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And the guy told me wouldn't be able to walk at 45. I don't even have any pain at all. I'm ready.
Wow.
Yeah, and a cracked C5 in my neck, and that's back before the technology was such that
what it is now.
My lat got smaller, my left arm, but that's all.
What were some of your favorite spots in Buckhead?
Oh God, I can't remember the name.
They're probably not even open anymore.
Oh gosh. I'm trying to think. You're what, 55?
I'm 55.
55. Yeah, I Googled it the other day. Because you're so damn entertaining, you and Stephen, man.
Because back then, you and I was talking on camera, wrestling was very regional. You had Georgia Championship Wrestling, you had Florida Championship Wrestling, the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
Florida was a rough run, no sleep.
Because see, I remember you and like the Dusty Rhodes and all those guys, Mr. Wrestling #2, Pac Song, all those guys coming through. And like I said, my grandfather, we go into Baxley, we go into Vidalia, the Savannah Civic Center.
The Andersons.
Yes.
Yeah, Savannah Civic Center was a great, that was our double shot.
Yes.
We'd work like Charlotte, like at a 3:00 show, and then drive to, I think it's 200 miles to Savannah for Charlotte, something like that, right?
Yep.
It's 100 to Columbia and 100 more to Savannah.
Correct.
And Savannah's great, and of course I have that great St. Patrick's Day.
Yes,
St. Patrick's Day
that is. It's a big thing, right on River Street, yes.
I'm sure you've been there.
Yeah,
it's amazing, right? You wouldn't think, but I think, so I just love Savannah.
Right.
But we wrestled there, and it was a great venue for us. Almost always sold out.
Yep. How did you become so popular with the rappers? Because you look at Offset, Ric Flair Drip, Killer Mike put you on the track, Pusha T. It's like, how did you become so popular with the rap culture?
I don't know. I mean, like I'm literally, I'll probably say Snoop while I'm out here if he's in town. I think because I wore jewelry and all that, and the drip thing came from the jewelry.
Right.
I was wearing jewelry, like Snoop said, I was bling for bling with bling.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at you and your style, you came in with the robes, with the feathers, and you were talking. I mean, you were really the first one that had the flair. You had that. You had, as they say, the drip. You had the swag. That's what they call it, swag. Yeah. You had that. How did you know that? Like, this is what I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't know how to get there. Does that make sense? And it's a learning process. Like, it's like going through school. You feel it, and it doesn't happen every day. I mean, if you don't really feel the character, you can't pull it off.
Right.
And I grew up. All I could think about was Joe Namath, 300 girls as senior year college. I mean, that's what my role models were, right? And I got to meet Will Chamberlain. I mean, I was just, by the way, what an athlete he is. I texted Stephen A. one day, we're talking about the world's greatest athlete, and Stephen A. said to me, I'm not putting him over. Russell beat him every time they played.
But let me ask you, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Buddy Rogers was the first Nature Boy.
Absolutely.
And then you came along. How did that go? Did you ask him, hey, Buddy, do you mind if I use the name?
No, it's great. No. George God gave me the idea, and apparently he asked Buddy, but I did meet Buddy. So Buddy, he really was. He did dress, he tan, had a great physique, much better than mine. He came walking in the locker room in Greensboro. He looked at me, walked over, and said, "Buddy Rogers, kid, remember one thing." There's only one diamond in this business, and you just met him. Hence, diamonds are forever.
Right.
Yeah. He was slick, man.
Right. The way that you lived in the 70s, obviously the money in wrestling wasn't then what it is now.
Oh, gosh.
But you couldn't tell Ric Flair that because you live.
Yeah. 200 pairs of alligator shoes at Bruce Friedman's.
Wow.
You've been to Friedman's, right?
I have. Right there on Mitchell Street.
Everybody has. But how much money has Bruce got? My God.
Well, I mean, if you were in the entertainment business, a basketball player and need
everybody came through there. Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to take on that persona? How did you perfect that persona?
I felt it. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I just wanted to stand out. And clothing was a way of standing out. Being a good athlete is a way of standing out. Being real smart in school was a way. And obviously, I wasn't real smart in school. 13 years in high school. So that was rough, too. The good news is you're going to stay another year. So
when did you realize that wrestling, because I read you were pretty good in sports, but did you think wrestling was going to be your ticket to stardom and fandom?
No, never.
So how did you get into it?
Well, because I went to Minnesota on a football scholarship.
Right.
And I didn't predict. We all know what the word predict means, right? Right. And actually, all you had to do was go to class there, back then, right? Check in and walk out the door, right?
Right.
But I got in a fraternity, and that 2-mile walk and 30 below zero weather, the minute I got into that fraternity house, it was over for me. I lived there for a year after I was out of school.
Right.
And my parents thought I was still in school.
Right. Because you're from Minnesota.
Yes.
Born and raised on a farm. So obviously, if you're on a farm, you got to work. You can't.
No. I wasn't raised on a farm.
You weren't raised.
My dad was a doctor.
Doctor in time. Okay.
My dad made me work on a farm.
Okay.
Every summer I had to learn how to use every tool, everything. And he had a friend.
Right.
Who had a farm in southern Minnesota, and I spent a month there baling hay, and my dad just wanted me to learn how to do everything.
Right.
But the first week I made $1,000. I haven't even attempted to start a lawnmower again. I won't sweep the floor.
So what?
If it's viable and it doesn't involve, I'm not changing a light bulb.
Right.
I'm not doing all that anymore.
If somebody else can do it, you're gonna let them do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So this wrestling thing, I mean, you get the bug early on. Did you think wrestling was gonna be, because like I said, it's so regional, did you think it was gonna morph into what it became?
No, I had no idea. I don't think anybody did. But it's so awesome that it has, and I mean, I think a lot of sports, and you grew up on it, I think a lot of sports take a lot of what we've done in as far as entertainment,
yes.
like the NBA All-Star Game or the All-Star Game, or the Super Bowl, because the WrestleMania, if you look at WrestleMania and the production values of shows like that,
right.
all the stuff, the glamour, the glitz, I mean, I think everybody's picked that up from the WWE.
Right.
WWF, WWE.
How long did it take you to perfect the Ric Flair, to be able to talk on cue, to be able to have the catchphrase, the sayings, and to be able to be what you became?
You know where I got that? I got that driving when we used to drive 3,000 miles a week, right? And listening to songs at night, drinking beer, driving on the road, just different stuff caught on with me. I was a huge fan of Chuck Berry and I don't know. I call it a gift.
Right.
Very few people get it, right? But I had a lot of energy. To this day, I still do. I feel great.
Did the promoters always?
74, I feel phenomenal.
74. Mm-hmm. And you had your last wrestling match, a year ago?
Last year, July.
You done?
Done.
you done.
No, but I'm done physically, but not here.
Mentally, you feel you can still do it,
yeah.
But the body just won't let you do it anymore.
Well, the body will, but they won't. Number one, you don't want to see the body.
Right.
I'm going to wear a shirt, okay? Right. The cosmetic issues were they were rough to begin with, but after the surgery, Shannon, the cosmetic issues, I wouldn't take my shirt off in front of my wife right now.
A part of your gift was trash talking. You once told someone, my shoes are worth more than your house.
Yeah.
I've spent more money on one robe than guys spent in 5 years. I've spent more money on spilled liquor and bars on one side of the world than you've ever made.
No, one side of the world than you made last year.
Yeah. How did you come up with that? I mean, you just sitting around like, okay, What can I say?
I swear to God, it just rolled out. It just rolled out. I've just been around so long and around so many cool people. You know, you hang around cool people, you learn things. And
Right.
just a little bit from everybody. Even today, I'll meet a guy and I'll think, God, this is really cool. You know what I mean? And it's pretty hard to impress me right now.
Right.
I mean, you've seen Stephen A. impersonate me in that. I mean, what greater honor is that?
Right.
Than to have a guy as legendary as him
Right.
impersonate you. Like when he came to Tampa for the Dallas game. And,
Right.
Well, he's struggling with Dallas this year, isn't he?
Yeah. Dallas look like they're doing pretty good things.
Yeah,
this
they
year.
look great.
So when you started this, because it seems to me like the really good wrestlers, like they really have an outstanding personality and they outshine. You look at yourself, you look at The Rock, you look at the John Cenas, you look at the guys that not only were great wrestlers, they branched off, went into the movie aspect. Was that something that was promoted? Did they want you to be? Or?
No, I had a chance to do a movie with Orion Pictures. A guy approached me out here when I was wrestling at the Forum in the 80s.
Okay.
And they wanted me to do a James Bond character. But the money I was going to make, number one, I'd have to take 3 months off. And back then, you know, we didn't have a guaranteed contract.
Right.
You went to work or you didn't get paid.
You didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'd have to lose the world championship, you know, go make $230,000 on a movie or in the hope that it did well. Does that make sense? So
Right.
I just, I think I made the right choice because I just stayed with wrestling and I've never looked back.
So you don't look back and you see the money that The Rock is making, you see what he became, you look at John Cena.
Well, I like it, but I don't think I was made for that.
Right.
I mean, those guys, you know, they all look, you know, the glitz and glamour that's there, but like The Rock gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
And John's the same way. They don't miss a workout.
Right.
And then it's all day long.
Right.
Take, retake, take. Even when I make commercials now, after an hour, sometimes I'll look at a guy directing the thing, because it's always, now they have these 2 or 3 directors, right? I'll go, guys, one of you make the decision. Because I'm only, at 5 o'clock, I'm leaving. I'm going to get a drink. So I don't know how those guys do it, but they're successful. And geez, Dwayne is just in another place.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So when you started this and you started your persona, and then all of a sudden the cameras really came into effect and they started putting you guys on television. And that's kind of like when the Ric Flair really took off.
Yes.
When people could actually see you, not just in the ring, but they could hear you also.
TBS. Yep.
Yeah, that took off. So how do you like, okay, I'm on, did you know you were onto something?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I felt it. I just, you know, and then someone said, you ever been, actually I'm good friends with Pete Rose, right?
Okay.
So Pete said, you know, they're buying your shoes over at Friedman's, right? So I went over there with him and Ozzie Smith one day, and they spent $40,000 on shoes.
Wow.
Ozzie, Dave Parker, whatever, I can remember, and Pete. And I spent like $3,000. But you know, I mean, those alligator shoes.
So you got a pair, they got like 10 pair.
Yeah. I got the starter kit.
Right. So when you talk about trash talkers, because you're one of the greats, so who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of trash talkers? Ali, Mayweather, Deion Sanders, The Rock, Michael Jordan. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of trash talkers?
Well, I am such a fan of Deion Sanders, but Deion's calmed it down.
Yeah, he has.
Vintage Deion.
Yes.
I mean,
the playing Deion in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why, and he was able to turn it down.
Right.
But obviously, Muhammad Ali, you know, trash talkers. I'm trying to think myself. You know, it's hard to talk trash because number one, people have got to be thick-skinned.
Yes.
Because it's not real.
Right.
But you're trying to make people mad.
Yeah, you try to make people mad. You're trying to sell an event.
I'm trying to sell tickets.
Right.
No. So, and back then, I didn't go over and say, I'm going to say this about you. You know, like. So
they had no idea that you were going to say what you were saying.
Never. No, and with me and Dusty, it was whoever went first went last. And I made him a deal one day. I said, okay, you go So we're not going to argue about this because he could really talk. Man.
Yes, yes.
He
The American
talk.
dream.
He's the American dream, brother. He may be the most gifted. Roddy Piper would say,
Yes, yes.
So Roddy Piper, Ali, Dusty Rhodes, Dion. I mean, all those guys I looked up to, and I mean, a couple of them were Roddy's my age would have been my age.
Right.
Dusty a couple years older, but I mean those guys were great. And Dion, my God. I remember when he was on that show when he talked about LT sending the girls. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, you talking about he was on the NFL Network?
Yeah, no, and he said the Boomer Esiason or something.
Oh, yeah, on CBS.
Yeah, he said, don't tell me that LT didn't send you one too. You've heard those stories, right?
Yes, yes.
So
I remember.
And I know LT really well. I'm sure you do.
Are you surprised by how many famous people know Ric Flair, rock with Ric Flair? Because it seems like everybody, they get the same, like when I saw you, because this is my first time meeting you, but I grew up watching you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of famous people and celebrities, athletes, entertainers, rappers, get the same impression that I got when I met you.
I'm just a regular guy. Where we going tonight?
But because it seems like you said, you've been in this business for over 50 years.
Yes.
And anybody that's my age that watched, you're the most recognizable. Now, probably you and Andre are the most, because Andre was such a massive of a man. I saw him one time in my life, and when you're 6, 7 years old and you see somebody that size, you're like, that's the biggest man I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But you're so recognizable. You can't think of professional wrestling without mentioning you.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm honored to say that.
Are you?
I've just been lucky enough to live longer. I mean, I think the fact that I didn't do a lot of drugs. Obviously, I drank a lot. That's documented over and over again. But drinking's not illegal. And I keep telling people all the time. They tell me that I have a drinking problem.
Right.
I'll say, at 74, let's say I'm a regular guy, I'm retired, right? And I go play golf all day and drink all day on the golf course. Then I go to the clubhouse afterwards, which is the way the day works.
Right.
Gamble, play cards, drink some more, go home. You're just a regular guy.
Right.
You go to the bar at 5 o'clock, stay till 9 o'clock, you're an alcoholic. I mean,
right. That's how they perceive it.
That's the way our culture perceives it, right?
You mentioned something. You said, I've never done drugs. Mm-hmm. You're 74 years old.
I've done Xanax, yeah.
Done Xanax. But a lot of guys that were younger than you have gone on. Why?
Because I think it applies to all sports, but to our sport particularly because of the fact that we never had a day off. They don't understand the word moderation. So hypothetically, steroids, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if I take 1 cc of test, 1 cc of Deca, right? Mm-hmm. And I look like this, well, I should take 2.
Right.
Everything's moderation.
Right.
It's like now I'm in the cannabis business, right? Mm-hmm. I can take 2 or 3 hits, right?
Right.
But I can't smoke with Mike Tyson. I don't know who can. I don't know who can.
Or Snoop.
Or Snoop, my God. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I mean, and it's like now when we're selling the edibles, like the edibles got me off the Xanax.
Right.
But, if I have a bad day, I still jump on a Xanax.
Right.
I'm not sitting here and tell you I don't. But the edibles, I mean, there's so much to benefit from that because how many people are eating Xanax? I mean, I admit it. Right. How many people are taking it? It's so damn hard to buy right now. You know that people are trying to abuse it.
Right.
So,
what are some of your top, if I said, okay, Rick, give me your top 3 catchphrases that you've used in your career. I'm a woman, I'm every woman's dream, every man's nightmare, diamonds are forever, so it's Ric Flair, styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet fly. That's probably your most famous one. Yeah. That's probably your most famous one. If you don't like it, you'll learn to love it. Mm-hmm. All women want to be with me, all men want to be like me.
Yeah.
If you said, okay, they said, okay, Rick, you get 3, you got 100. Give me your 3 favorite.
I am the diamond ring wearing, Rolex wearing, Limousine riding, private jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing. Woo, son of a gun that's having a hard time. Hold these gators down. Woo!
That's your number one of all time. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So how did you
to be the man?
To be the man. How did you come up with that?
I got it off a song about trucking. Some guy was saying he was trucking, and I just.
And you put Rolex wearing, private jet flying, limousine ride, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing.
Yeah, well, here's what happened. The private jet thing came around like this. So I was the United States champion. I'm wrestling Blackjack Mulligan.
Yep.
I'm glad I can. You understand what I'm talking about.
Yes,
right?
I.
Charlotte was sold out, but I'm in Greg Gagne's wedding.
Right.
Fernie Gagne broke me in.
Yeah.
So I told George God, I said, I got to have this Saturday. He said, you're not having Saturday off. He said, so I chartered a private, back then I got a Lear 9
Right.
to go to Minneapolis from Charlotte and back for $2,700.
Okay.
And now that would be $50,000.
Yeah, but $2,700 back then was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, $2,700. And they filmed me, right? Getting off the plane, coming back. And I made it to the Coliseum at 7:30 and we were sold out. And so I started the private jet thing, and then it just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
But that's basically what that was. I just said I couldn't disappoint my friend and not be in his wedding.
Right.
But I had to be back to WrestleMania. George God said, "Don't make Charlotte. Just take the plane to Memphis."
Right.
Which was like the end of the world. That's where I was born.
Did it bother you when people called you cocky?
No.
Because they're gonna come see you regardless.
Yeah.
So when you wrestled, you mentioned like you, and I know Blackjack Mulligan and Sergeant Slaughter and all those guys, Baron von Raschke, you know, like you mentioned, the Anderson brothers. So if you wrestle Blackjack and Charlotte, you've traveled on down to Savannah and wrestled him again.
Yeah. Different cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the kayfabe back then.
Right.
And there was no talking. With different locker room. There was. You could get fired for riding with one of your opponents.
Really?
Oh yeah, back then in those days, because
because they wanted the appearance that you really didn't like each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, now it just accepted and it hasn't hurt the industry, but back then the word kayfabe was huge.
Right.
So and the guys it was a really tough business back then too. I mean, the guys were tough guys.
Right.
There was nobody wanted to lose, you know what I mean? And there was no 25 agents to talk about it. It was just two guys,
right.
You know?
So how do you come up with a strategy like who's gonna be the hero, who's gonna be the heel, who's gonna win, who's gonna lose? How did you guys come up with that?
Well, I think the personalities made the determination on who was going to be the good guy or the bad guy. And then, to be honest with you, for me, because I just wanted to get along, I said, beat me. I'll just be better than you.
Right.
I mean, to myself.
Right.
And I was.
Right.
So by the time he got through, by the time the match was over, you could be right in the middle of the ring. Everybody's going, I got to see that guy who's laying on his back again.
Right.
I went to war with every night, the deal taped right there. And when all else fails,
cut it.
Yeah.
Just a little nick. You're already perspiring.
Yeah.
Blood's gonna be everywhere. You got the blonde hair.
Yeah. Savannah was bleeding grounds, man.
Yeah. Oh man. You don't know how many times.
Thunderbolt Patterson.
Thunderbolt.
Dog, two boy.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Remember him?
See, now you going way. Now that's all Georgia championship wrestling.
Yeah.
Man, those were the good old days.
Thunderbolt, man.
But now they got schools that'll teach you how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Did you guys have that when you were, or you just learned it on the fly?
Well, I went to a wrestling camp, but they just beat us up. Nobody even taught me from my first match. I never did anything but get beat up for 8 weeks by Vern Gagne and tough guys.
Right.
Guys that are amateur wrestlers or they're real good that are in the business, right?
Right.
Because they wanted to break you.
Right.
And if they broke you, then you didn't make it.
Right.
So the objective, and when I broke into business, was to break you, or see if you had it. And once you had it, then they'll start helping you.
Right.
So it's different.
But now, so did they teach you how to fall? I mean, you do the drop kick and do you fall like this? Or when they suplex you and how to, you do the bodies, you come up the top rope?
Yeah. That's all you learn. You learn it by yourself.
Right. And people like, okay, it's scripted, but you still have to learn how to fall. You're still falling.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're falling from 10, 12 feet.
And some of the mats are just like this.
Yeah.
I mean, now, like WWE, they've got but basically even today, it's 4x4s, plywood, and are like a wrestling mat.
Right.
That's all it is. Right. It's hard.
But it has to make that sound. There's a sound that the audience needs to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's still to this day, just like when you wrestle, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, well, the rings are much better now.
Better?
Yeah.
So how do you, like you said, you're doing it every day. Mm-hmm. And some days you're doing it twice a day.
Yeah.
Is that why you think some of the guys maybe did the drugs in excess because of the pain?
Of course.
And you know what I noticed? A lot of ex-football players started wrestling. Mm-hmm. Ernie Ladd turned into
Big
wrestling.
Cat, really good friend of mine.
Yeah. Chief Wahoo McDaniel played with the Broncos.
Wahoo was my mentor, man.
Yeah. So what is it about? And we see, a lot of what's the Paul?
Wahoo. I know I'm glad you know all these guys. Wahoo had the state high school rushing record until Billy Sims broke it.
Wow.
Yeah. Wahoo ran a 10 flat 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played for the Broncos. And
and the Jets, the biggest story about Wahoo, when they drafted Namath, every time he made a tackle with the Jets, right?
Right.
They'd take you played middle linebacker. They said, guess who? And the whole crowd would go, Wahoo. And then they drafted the minute they drafted Joe Namath, mm-hmm. True story, they traded Wahoo.
Wow.
I think he ended up with Miami.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to ask you this, because your name, although it's spelled differently, mm-hmm. it was, I think, Fleur?
IEHR.
IEHR. How do they determine a name? Do you get to keep your real name, or do they give you a name? How did that happen? How do you get a name?
Well, I went to Vernon Gagne, the guy that wrote me, and I said, I want to be Ramblin' Ricky Rhodes. I wanted to be Dusty's brother, right?
Okay.
And Vernon Gagne looked at me and said, you're crazy. I don't know what you could do. I don't see what you see in him, because Dusty and Dick were just funny guys.
Right.
They just enjoyed life. And he said, you're Ric Flair, that's a cool name. I said, Ric Flair is cool? He said, yeah. And then, and I just went by that name, and when I went down to Charlotte, it sounded natural, and it got on. And then I was at an autograph signing. It's funny you mentioned that. Maybe a year ago when Terry Bradshaw was there. Mm-hmm. So I know Terry a little bit, right? Yeah. He said, Ric Flair, that's the greatest name in the world. I like Ric Flair. I said, I'm thinking to myself, and I want to call myself Ramblin' Ricky Rhodes.
I mean, it would. I don't know if you'd have been the same.
No.
The Nature Boy, the Ric Flair, the blonde hair.
Oh, I had my hair curled and everything like Dusty.
You had the curly hair like Dusty,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
Because Dusty, if I'm not mistaken, he lived in Marietta, right?
He did, yes. Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just. I was crazy.
Yeah. Oh no, I love it.
I thought about being a wrestler. I was like, man.
Yeah. Well, you got the physique to do it, man. Yeah.
All that falling football was tough enough.
Yeah.
And to do that every day for years and years, and you did it for 50.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you'd be surprised at the number of football players that could come in and didn't make it, man.
Right.
You remember the guy, the Mars man from the played for Oakland, from Columbus, Georgia. No, not Matusak. Black guy.
Otis is drunk.
Otis is drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came in the ring one day, gone. Yeah. And the other guy, Holmes, played with
Ernie Holmes, Pittsburgh. Ernie Holmes.
Pittsburgh guy. One day he was out there. The guy that was shooting the rifle. Yeah. He was only there one day too. Not because he was tough.
Right.
But he didn't like. He didn't like the wrestling.
No, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, but
they put, you'll know the name because you like wrestling, they put Otis is drunk in a cage match with Mad Dog Vachon.
Oh, man.
Mad Dog was jumping around. He was clawing.
So how do they determine the type of match? Because you got the Texas Death Match, you got the cage match, you got the bull rope. I remember the bull. You know, you're tied to each other. You know, you got the steel cage match.
You got the Indian strap match where Wild ripping you with that damn strap.
So how do they determine the type of match?
That's the promotion. To this day, they try to figure out something different,
right,
to capture the imagination of the public.
So who is your favorite wrestling opponent
of all time? Steamboat.
Ricky Steamboat,
or
the Dragon,
or Sting, who I'm with down here now.
Okay, because Sting had the main event. He had a gym in Atlanta.
Sting,
main event,
Sting and Luger.
Yep. Partner, who's your favorite partner? Because you've had some partners. You had Greg Valentine. You the Four Horsemen with, I think it was you, Valentine, Tully Blanchard.
But my favorite partner, it would be Greg or Arn Anderson. I wasn't in a lot of tag matches. We were in those 8-man war games. And all those were crazy.
Right.
Jesus, but it sold out. But my Hagstrom would come in last, who was a legitimate badass, right?
Right.
And we'd be throwing blood on Mike and everything. He'd get that tag, man, when he came in, because we're going home. He would kill everybody. we just knew it. Because the cage is only this high, right?
Right.
There's a ceiling on it, right? You can't crawl out of it, right?
Right.
So he picked up J.J. Dillon on Animal Shoulders, which is a movie you don't want to do, period. But J.J.'s a manager, right? And Hawk jumped off the top rope and spun A.J. down, separated his shoulder.
Wow.
Almost killed.
But so what happens when you have, because obviously guys have had separated shoulders and dislocated elbows and torn ACLs, but you're slotted to wrestle 30 minutes. Yeah. And that happens 10, 15 minutes.
Well, they used to say, finish
the timeout?
No, say, like I've had referees that me, Hayes, like Michael Hayes, the PS from the Freebirds, right?
Yep.
Is an agent, and he told the referee, because they have earpieces, right? Tell him to tough it out. He's Ric Flair. Okay, my lip was, what happened is I hit the rope.
Right.
Came back and whipped me in the face, broke my nose, and that,
Right.
Tough it out.
Right.
But now they stopped the matches. Yeah.
Oh, do they?
Okay.
Yeah. See, I remember.
It's a heavy scrutiny on of the head shots.
Right.
No more shares of the head. I mean,
no more foots to the head, because you remember they used to sling you to the rope and then hit you in the head with.
Well, no, that's true.
They still do that?
What, the kick to the head?
Yeah, kick to the head.
Oh, sure, yeah. Wow. You gotta hope the guy knows what he's doing.
So when you look back and you look at all the names that you've wrestled, from Andre the Giant to, like you said, Steamboat and Bobo Brazil and Thunderbolt.
Bobo, I wrestled Bobo a lot.
Yeah.
You remember Bobo?
I do.
Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, Abby and I are still friends. He lost a leg to diabetes.
Yeah, because he used to have a barbecue spot in Tampa.
In Atlanta.
He got one in Atlanta?
No, it was in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I used to travel the Caribbean with Abby a lot.
Right.
Yeah, Abby would be me and Abby against Carlos Colon and somebody else over there. And you talk about blood, man. That's all. Puerto Rico, that's all they want is blood.
November is here, and we're in the heart of football season. Basketball and hockey are just getting started. So many games to watch on any given day. But wouldn't it be better if they were live? The best way to get tickets to any of these games this month is on Game Time, the fastest growing ticket app in the U.S. Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help save you money on tickets. You can find exclusive deals and sponsored deals on games and concerts daily. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats. For big time savings and with Game Time guarantee, you will always get the best price. If you find a ticket in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of it. Buying tickets at Game Time. Create an account, redeem code Shay Shay for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app and enter the code Shay Shay, S-H-A-Y, S-H-A-Y for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. You mentioned you was born in Memphis. How many years did you spend in Memphis? Because I know you ended up being in Minnesota.
Well, I only spent a month. I'm adopted.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is it true that you were stolen?
Stolen, yeah.
Child traffickers.
Yeah.
And you ended up being adopted. So how old were you when you found out that this was your adopted parents and not your biological parents?
I think you told me when I was like 5.
Did you ever seek out your?
No.
So you don't. So
No.
you don't know if you have brothers, sisters.
No, I don't. As recent, it's funny that the guy. How many years ago was that, Wendy?
6.
This is 6 years ago. Somebody reached out. My brother. My real name would be Fred Phillips.
Right.
And my brother reached out to me. I didn't have any interest.
Really?
Probably want to borrow money. You know. It goes right.
You didn't want to buy. You didn't want to lend him any money, huh?
Yeah. I'll call Steve Austin sometimes. Say, Steve, I don't want to borrow any money. Just call me back.
Right. You mentioned your dad was a doctor. Your mom was an actress.
She worked for she wrote a book called In Search of Audience, and she was she was not an actress, but she worked at the
Agency?
Sir Tyrone Guthrie Theater.
Okay.
And she was like, what would you say? I don't know. They both were very smart.
Right.
My dad had 2 doctorate degrees.
Right.
One in theater and English, and one in medicine.
What type? When you talk about your dad, you light up. He was a big influence on you, wasn't he?
Yeah. He made me learn how to do everything. 5 o'clock, if I'd be 5 years old downstairs, shovel me out. Because back then, he was OBGYN, right?
Right.
When there was just, a woman wanted her doctor.
Right.
They weren't being passed around the way it is now, right?
Right.
Where who's on call, it's your turn out, right? I mean, I can't tell you, shovel me out, right? And he wanted to make sure I knew how to work every tool. But he was, yeah. We spent a lot of time together.
I read where you had a lisp. You had an impediment as a kid. I had one.
Letter lisp.
So did kids make fun of you back then?
No, I don't remember. I don't think anybody made fun of me. My parents maybe sent me to a speech therapist and all that.
Right.
Just, I didn't. I mean, it's funny. Like they did all this stuff, and I would just so. I would just like to have fun, and like they spent a fortune probably on braces, and then I never wore my retainer.
Right.
And it's right there. All I had to do was put the retainer on.
Right.
But it didn't. Does that make sense? I just like to be out having fun.
Did you understand that your upbringing was kind of different than your friends in the neighborhood because you had a doctor as a dad? Did you understand that? Or you just looked at it, that's my dad, and I'm a kid, and I just want, like you said, you just wanted to have fun?
Yeah, just fun. Oh, yeah. I don't think people back then didn't judge anybody.
Right.
Could be a doctor, a guy. I remember the guy across the street once worked for Hires, Rookburg, if you remember them, years ago. I mean, another guy was an architect. I mean, the neighborhoods were family back. I mean, it's a whole different deal now where everybody's so judgmental of everything.
I read where you went to boarding school.
Mm-hmm. 13 years.
Right. So why did your parents send you to a boarding school?
Because I got in trouble riding a motorcycle around. Well, first of all, I got busted trying to buy alcohol.
How old were you?
I was 15, but I had a leather jacket on. I was in college, right? Mm-hmm. And so they arrested me. My dad was on Father's Day. They had to come get me. And then another time, my parents had bought me a Honda 50, and I was riding there innocently around Lake Calhoun in Minneapolis, and they got arrested. And so the guy said to my mom and dad, "It's military school, reform school," and so they put me in Wheeling Academy. And back then, 10,000 a year is a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Back in I started in 64.
But when you think about it, they really loved you, Rick, because they could have.
Yep. I know.
Do you look back at that time and like, wow, this could have went this way, could have went that way, but because of them, it went that way?
Well, you're asking, I'm going to get emotional. Even though I didn't do anything that is illegal or anything bad, I just feel like I didn't do them justice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they were such good people. I was just wild. Not bad wild.
Right.
Just, and I mean, they drank and all that. It was like that, but I just, you never know. I know, like when my dad died, it took me a week, not a week, 5 days, literally, to go tell my mom my dad died. The healthcare keeper kept calling me. Your mom wants to know how your dad is. I said, he's fine, he's fine. The minute I walked in that room and told her that my dad had passed, she looked out the window, and she never stopped looking out the window for 2 years until she died 2 years later. And she never spoke.
Wow.
So I don't know what she thought. Interesting that you're asking that. I'm sure that was a lot of people.
Man.
I couldn't, 59 and a half years, they were like this. And to tell her.
Even though she lived 2 years longer, she really died when you told her he had passed.
She just looked out the window.
Is that why it took you 5 days? Because you knew the impact it was going to have on her?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, listen, so when my parents, they bought a place in a real prestigious retirement community in Charlotte. They had moved to Charlotte by then. And when my mom had to go into assisted living, my dad was still in the apartment. So my mom would call me and say, your mom wants you to go find out where your dad is. Well, my dad was up at the bar. she couldn't walk to get there, but boy, she didn't like him at the bar drinking at 78 years old.
Right.
Think about that. Those are the funniest stories. Yeah, they were very close.
Right.
My mom and dad would read a 300-page book a day apiece. Wow. And I mean, I tell you, my dad would just read, drink his red wine at lunch, and then at 5, Manhattans and Jack Daniels. I remember I bought my dad a bottle of Jack one time, and I said, why were you spending money on this? Or when I bought a $2 million home in Charlotte, my dad, my mom and dad, I was so proud to show him, right?
Right.
And my dad walked into the foyer and had marble floors and everything. He said, why is this really necessary? He said, Dad, instead of saying,
this was nice, congratulations, son.
I mean, it's crazy. They were so conservative.
Right. What did you think your father wanted you to become? Do you think he wanted you to be a doctor or travel along that path?
Well, no, let me tell you, this is another true story. So when I told my dad I wanted to be a wrestler, I was moving to Charlotte, and I was married at that time, my first wife.
Right.
Mother of my two oldest kids. And I said, can I borrow $400? He said, no, I'm not going to invest any money in something that's ridiculous.
$400?
I went to Vernon Guy, needed a promoter. I borrowed $400. I said, no, this is when you grow up and learn how to do it. So I left.
With no money in your pocket? Well, how much did you have?
I had about $1,500.
Okay.
And I had like $3,500 or $4,000 that I left with Leslie and my oldest daughter. Mm-hmm. And then I got down there, and Crockett liked me right away, and he pulled me aside and said, how's this working out for you? I said, I love it. And he said, well, here, you want some money to move your family down? And he gave me $10,000.
Wow.
I went, what the hell? Are you kidding me?
Was Jim Crockett
Yes.
Jim Crockett promotion?
The best.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But you did get, out of high school, you were if I'm not mistaken, a 3-sports star?
Yeah.
You wrestled, played football?
Yeah, state champion in wrestling in 2 years, played all-state in football, and shot put out as average.
Yeah. You got a scholarship play football at the University of Minnesota?
No, where's it happen? I signed a letter of intent. That's why I'm so loyal to Harbaugh.
Okay.
Okay, so you're old enough to remember Bump Elliott. Mm-hmm. Bump was the coach.
Right.
Pete was the AD.
Okay.
So I signed a letter of intent, and then my academic advisor would not write a letter saying that I could predict.
Right.
So I couldn't go to Michigan.
Right.
So Iowa recruited me, and I went and spent the weekend with Eddie Podolak.
Okay.
So then, and I love that.
Right.
Social part of it. But you know, in the summer I went home, and I met a guy at the gym and said, "Well, why don't you look at Minnesota?" So I met Mike McGee.
Okay.
Remember Mike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember he played at Duke,
mm-hmm.
but he was AD in South Carolina, AD at Southern Cal. I don't know if he's still living or not, but he said, and I went and met him, and went and met Murray Warmath was the coach. And
right.
So I walked on, but then once I got getting that fraternity, man, I was
the booze, the girls.
Yeah.
Football wasn't nearly as important.
Yeah. The booze was great, but the girls were better. We were right next door to the Tridelt house.
Right. So you wanted to go to the University of Michigan.
Yes. That's why I'm so loyal to Jim.
Right.
Jim and I have been friends since '89.
Right.
And John, we're great friends.
Right. So when you said, okay, I'm going to be a wrestler, you go all in, you move to Charlotte, and basically you go all in. So what was the training? So, you know, Jim Crockett ended up giving you $10,000 to move your family down. But at that point in time, there's a point of no return. You have crossed the Rubicon. There is no turning back now.
No.
This is it. This is it. This is what you've decided to be.
I think I'm the only wrestler that I can think of that never moved. They wanted me to move to Atlanta. They wanted me to move to New York. They wanted me to move to Florida. I just never did. Now that I live in Florida, I loved him.
Right. So basically, you just commuted.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wendy's got two places at Rosemary Beach, Panhandle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She comes to visit me and stays for a week. She said, "I'm only coming to the fraternity house for a week. I'm out of here."
Right.
She's going back to the quiet beach.
Right. How do you train for wrestling? I mean, do you you bench press, squat, you do cardio?
Yep.
What's a wrestling? I mean, obviously you have to wrestle to get, to understand the moves.
How do I train?
Yeah. How did you train?
When I was training, I did 500 free squats every day.
Okay.
And then when I was heavier, I totaled 60 and 40. So I did a 485 bench, 530 squat, and 600 deadlift.
Okay.
I couldn't stand doing squat, but I weighed 310 pounds. So even after I broke my back, so I went down to 180, right, and the plane crash.
Right.
I never got my bench back over maybe 3 1/4.
Right.
But at that point, it's staying in great shape.
Right.
The key for my success is I was in better shape than a lot of guys. It's hard to go an hour.
Right.
2 hours in one day.
Right.
With Ricky Morton, we did it 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, and we did that's 9 hours in 1 week.
Wow.
9 hours of wrestling. It's a lot.
Yes, a lot. I mean, 9 hours of carb. But so how do let's just say you're wrestling Ricky Steamboat.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys okay? I'm going to sling into the rope. So how do you know?
Just call. He trusted me. You got to be being a ring general. I'm sure you said to I don't know, I can't remember which quarterback you played with. John.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were times you said to John, throw it to me, I'll catch it.
Right.
I know I can beat the guy.
Right.
And it's kind of like that. You trust each other.
Right.
And then you have chemistry, and if the chemistry is there, I mean, that's one of the key things you guys talk about.
Right.
It's like I'm watching LeBron last night. I mean, I don't know what in the hell, but the guy is unreal.
He is.
I think he had 38 points last night.
He had 28. He had 28, 10, and 11. He had a triple double.
28. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm watching on an airplane flying in.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, Alan Hahn calls him an old man.
Right.
Alan Hahn. It's a guy he gets on Get Up once in a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Calls him an old man.
Mm-hmm.
What an insult. I want to jump through the TV and strangle these guys.
So you're a LeBron fan, huh?
Oh, God, I love him. You kidding me? The king?
So LeBron, Jordan's from North Carolina, had a place in Charlotte.
I know Mike real well.
Yeah.
Wendy's met Michael.
Right. You mentioned the plane crash.
6'8",
Yeah.
265 pounds, 6'6", 215.
Right.
I know he was unreal, but
Right.
what record does LeBron need to break to be this? I mean, he may average 30 points a game this year if he wants to. It's unreal, isn't it? And he don't take time off.
Nah. If he's, I mean, the thing is, he doesn't cheat the game. You know, when he's out there, he's giving you everything he has.
Yeah.
And for him, if he can't go, you know something is seriously wrong, because he really, for him to maintain the level of excellence that he's had for 21 years, that's love. That's dedication.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting there watching, and if you watched the whole game last night, he started out, he just turned it over a couple of times. It's like, it's been doing it to me like he's been doing it so long.
Right.
And he spends so much time, in my mind, that's the way I perceive it, trying to get other players in.
He does.
He loves to get the ball to the other guys.
Yes.
Then when anyone says they're not making the baskets, he says, I'll just score.
Yeah.
And you know what? He just scores when he wants to.
Right.
But who's going to stop him driving the lane?
No.
From the outside? I mean, unreal.
No.
Pulls up a 3-point, all of a sudden, I guess I'll play down hard.
Right.
I don't know how he does it.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were in a plane crash and you broke your back. So obviously that's got to be a very, very scary feeling, because plane crash, there are not normally a whole lot of survivors. So what's going through your mind as the plane is starting to go down?
I don't remember anything. When the second engine shut down, we were at 6,000 feet. And I don't remember. The first thing I remember is back then they were putting this, you remember the ambulances, like, where they were racks, not the luxury like today, right? I just remember them saying, I think we might lose this one.
And that was you?
I thought they were talking about me. No, it wasn't me. It was the pilot that eventually died.
Okay.
Yeah. But we couldn't talk. And I woke up, but the funny thing is I was wrestling Wahoo that night, and we're talking about the kayfabe, right? Mm-hmm. Wahoo and I were in a big angle, and Johnny Valentine and Tim Woods were.
Okay.
Well, Woods walked out of it. And by God, he went to the territory would have died. They'd all found out we were in that plane together. And Wahoo, when Wahoo came in, this is the Wilmington where Mike's from, right? Mm-hmm. When Wahoo came into the hospital, he came in running, and it scared him, but I thought he was coming in to beat me up.
Right.
Because what had happened is I had hit him with a table leg, and this angle we shot.
Right.
And a nail. The table leg didn't break right. And I hit him with a nail, put 40 stitches in his head.
Wow.
So then they playing all that. The hospital was scared. They called the cops. He was come and see if I was okay.
Right.
I was laying on a metal table. He said, "Boy, all right." He was right.
Right.
Well, he ran hard, man.
I read where you switched seats.
No.
That didn't happen?
No. No. As a matter of fact, yeah, I did want to. I like sitting in the front seat.
Right.
But Johnny wanted, and Johnny's senior.
But had you been in that seat, could the outcome have been different?
Oh, entirely. They pulled John. Well, John didn't have a seatbelt on.
Right.
So they pulled John up right here, right? Pulled his arms out of the dashboard.
Wow.
Like this. And of course the pilot ate the steering wheel.
Right. And you said the pilot ended up dying.
Yeah, a year later.
Right. So how severe was John?
Paralyzed. They couldn't treat people in Wilmington.
Right.
And by the time they flew him in a military plane, he and Bob Bruggers, to Houston. Mm-hmm. But by the time they got there, that kind of stuff needs to be treated right
immediately.
away.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So what was your recovery? So how long?
I went from 255 to 180, and first of all they said I wouldn't wrestle again, and then 6 months later the doctor said there's something wrong. It's kind of like.
Did the thought of not wrestling again ever cross your mind?
Yes. Yeah.
Was that the first and only time that the thought of wrestling might not happen again crossed your mind? Has there ever been any other injury or any other situation in which you said, you know what, there's a chance I don't wrestle again?
No, that was everything else is fixable. Rotator cuffs, Jim Andrews, everybody knows that Jim Andrews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim used to say to me, every time I work on you, it's like putting a piece together, putting a piece of old leather together.
Right.
Because my Terry said was the size of a quarter on both my rotators.
Wow.
Because I waited so long to do it.
So now you survive that. You come out, nobody can tell that you went through this tragic injury. Mm-hmm. Did you feel different? Did anything about you, did you change the way you wrestled? Did you change anything?
No, it just took me a long time to land on my back.
Right.
And I used to remember, there was no payphone, no cell phones back then.
Right.
I would call the doctor at home on the payphone.
Right.
In the lobby. People going, hey, woo, Ric Flair, right? I'm going, Dr. Johnson, you sure I can do this? He said, there's only one way to find out.
Right.
I can't guarantee everything. I would call him every day.
But when you fell, when they slammed you on your back, or you fell on your back for the first time, and you like, okay,
yeah,
I'm okay.
But actually I was okay with that. The hardest thing was going into the turnbuckle.
Yeah,
the heart, boom. Yeah. And then like taking a backdrop. So George Scott, the unsympathetic guy that he was, he made me wrestle an hour every night in 1976 until I took a backdrop. That's where the guy throws you in, right, and lifts you up,
and you flip it.
Yeah. So finally one night I said, I'm not doing another hour not in front of 200 people in Farmville, Virginia.
Right.
So I took it. I was fine, but it's like everything else. You gotta try it out.
You lost weight. You took the insurance settlement. Did you take the insurance settlement and bought a caddy?
Yep. Blue Coupe de Ville.
Coupe de Ville.
Yeah.
Did you need to get the caddy to be part of the persona, to be the nature boy, to be Ric Flair? It had to be a caddy.
Yeah, dusty roads. You only come through one time. Why not pass by in a Cadillac?
So did you drive that car from location to location?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So it's not like it is now, because these guys now, do they still wrestle like you guys? They don't do it like you guys did it, do they? Do they wrestle in small cities and?
Yeah, but they're much more sophisticated. But they still work. Like my daughter's schedule, she'll wrestle 155 matches.
Right.
And then if you're on top now, the difference for us is if you're on top in our business now, even on your days off, you're doing media.
You're doing promotion
all day long.
Right.
Radio. I mean, it's not like you ever have time off.
Right. So because when you had the belt, you still had to wrestle. You still had your obligations, although they weren't like what they are now.
Yeah.
But you still, like you said, you was wrestling twice on Sunday, twice on Monday, and you probably had a couple of gigs on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, of course I did. And I didn't one year. Well, actually 3 years, but 1 year, the most I ever wrestled was 425 times in 1 year.
425?
In 1 year.
There's only 365 days.
I know, I'm talking about, remember twice on Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did your body feel like?
And it never bothered me.
But you didn't know any better?
No.
Do you think there's someone that wrestled more in a calendar year than what you did that 425?
I doubt that, but I'm pretty sure I've wrestled more because here's my deal. I tell people this and they just can't believe it. I was in Melbourne or in Sydney, 1 hour, right?
Right.
Flew to Auckland,
right?
1 hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flew to Christchurch, right? Mm-hmm. 1 hour. Flew to St. Louis, 1 hour with Harley Race.
Right.
Flew to Atlanta, 1 hour with Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
And took off for Tokyo.
Wow.
1 week.
In 1 week. So that's
a lot
20 plus thousand miles.
That's a lot of drinking.
You speak of your relationship with Harley.
Mm-hmm.
Harley was, when I was growing up, he had the belt.
He was the man.
Harley Race was the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you ever wrestle Nick Botwinkle?
Yeah, well, sure. Once in Winnipeg.
Right.
Yeah, Nick was great too, but Harley Race, your kind of guy.
Yeah. So you believe,
Shannon, Ricky took Roger's gimmick to a whole new level.
So give me your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Well, my Mount Rushmore. See, it's hard to do because I obviously love the old guys, but in a contemporary world, it's Undertaker, Hogan, Austin, and Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Because Shawn is the greatest of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Better than you?
Yep. Not talking, but in the ring, yeah.
Right.
I can't.
You got to give it up to him.
I knew that the day I came home, and my little son said, "Can you do moonsault?" I said, "Why? Shawn Michaels can."
So what was it like when your first match against Andre the Giant? What was that like when they told you, okay, Rick?
It was so ridiculous.
Because he's a mountain of a man.
Yeah, he just took me over the headlock. He said, "Boss, just have a relax." Normally, I used to say to Big Show, right? Big Show tells that story. Can I use some of my graphic language?
Sure, go ahead.
That's how I would.
If it's too bad, we'll
No. I would go to Big Show, sell your balls in your eyes. That's all you need to do.
Right.
So I give him a ball shot.
Right.
Big Show dropped to his knees. He's my size now.
Right.
Boom, boom. I can actually work with him.
Right.
But when he's standing up, not a chance, right?
Yeah.
If I blind him, he can turn out to blind me. When I poke him blind eye, walk away from me, and anybody, 120-pound defensive back, you could clip a guy.
Right.
You got to start to think of a logic.
Right.
Because no one's going to believe, not going to have a test of strength with him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And he's a great athlete, man. He played basketball at Wichita State.
Right. Who's bigger, Big Show or Andre?
Andre. 540.
He was that.
Yeah.
And they tell the stories of him drinking 102 cans of beer.
106, I was with him. Downtowner in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Frank Vaughn drank 56. That was his original manager.
I was listening to his documentary, and he was so massive, and he was going to have surgery, and they didn't really know how much anesthesia to give him. And it's like, well, they said, well, he can drink, I think they said 2/5 of vodka. And it's like, okay, and so they deduced 2/5 of vodka and still walk. I mean, for a man to drink 2/5 of vodka or 102 cans of beer and stand up and walk out of a bar, that's not normal, Rick.
No, well, listen, a couple of times he fell down.
Well, who got him up?
Well, they didn't. What happened, they took him to his room in Boston one time, and he fell down on top of Pedro Morales. Oh. And he was caught between the bed, and Pedro couldn't get out from underneath him. He literally they fought like it had, 500 pounds on top of you.
Right.
And all you can do is try to nudge the bed over.
Right.
He just fall asleep. They just leave him in the lobby.
So how do you like, okay, Andre, Rick's gonna win tonight, or this guy's gonna win? Because nobody could really beat him if he didn't want to lose.
No, exactly. He didn't.
So was he?
And here's the thing, Harley used to suplex him.
Yeah.
And I would say, you'll like this story. We were in Granger one time, and he would Harley suplex him and slammed him, and Harley stood him up.
Yeah.
And I go to Harley. Did you ask him if he could? I mean, I was so Harley had this unreal, not a weightlifter, but that body strength.
Yeah, yes.
And I said, "Did you ask Hunter if you could do that?" He's got a Marlboro by now. Ask him what? I said, slam, suplex, kick out on 2.
So he told him what was going to happen? It was that.
Nobody argued with Harley. Nobody.
So what are some of your favorite locker room moments?
Oh, just the camaraderie. You know a good locker room or a bad one, right?
Yep.
When you're winning, everybody's in a good mood. I don't know. I don't know. My thing is, I just want to be happy. I want to get along. It's hurt me financially to say that, but rather than argue about it every night, just beat me.
Right.
Okay. If I got to fight you for my pay, I mean, it takes all the fun away from doing it. Right. If you're not having fun, there've been days, I'm sure, when you go, I don't want to do this. Right. I don't want to fight with anyone. I don't want to be part of it.
Was it hard to be in a locker room or wrestle someone that you didn't like, or did you not? Or did you get along with everybody?
Oh, there are a couple of guys I didn't really get along with it, but you just internalize.
You don't bring that to work though.
No, you can't. You just make yourself miserable.
The move. So your move was the figure 4.
Yes.
How did you come up with that move?
I got that from Buddy too. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, Jack Briscoe.
Right.
I did ask Jack if I could use it.
Right.
Jack was great.
Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Jack and Jerry. But listen, Jack Briscoe, junior year, Oklahoma State, right?
Right.
31-0, 31 pins. No one scored a point on him.
Wow.
He was going to the Olympics, and he got a girl pregnant.
You know, back then, that took precedent.
Yeah.
You got a job.
Yeah. 31-0. No one took him down.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that. When I talk to Jerry, and Jerry's still tougher now. To this day, I see Jerry quite a bit.
How many different wrestlers do you think you've wrestled over your career?
God, everybody. Not the new guys now, but I haven't missed anybody.
Yeah. Because I remember you wrestling from, like you said, Blackjack Mulligan, Hulk Hogan, Sergeant Slaughter, Andre the Giant, Bobo Brazil, Abdullah the Butcher, Dusty Rhodes,
Wahoo,
Mr. Wrestling number 1, number 2.
Yep.
Baron von Raschke.
Von Raschke, the great Baron.
Yeah. So how difficult was it to go from good guy to heel, back and forth? Because you're one of the few guys that could do it, Rick.
Yeah, but I hated being a good guy.
Did you?
Yeah, because I don't have that. I don't drop kick, right? I mean,
right.
And all I really have is a good guy is a chop and a woo.
Right.
I mean, I still would rather be taking the bumps. I'm better.
Right.
I'm much better at being a heel.
I mean, I'm looking at, Andre the Giant, Sting, Randy Savage, Lex Luger, The Giant, Kevin Nash, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Big Show, Triple H, Booker T, The Rock, Rowdy Piper. Who's who?
To name a few.
To name a few. And a lot of them, our younger generations, like I said, we go back and you talk about Abdullah the Butcher, Bobo Brazil, Thunderbolt Patterson, the Junkyard Dog, all those guys, Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
That was a rivalry.
Yeah, Tony, I broke him in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony, a state high school champion from Roanoke, Virginia.
Mm-hmm. So what was your favorite match?
I've seen Tony close grip, right?
Right.
Bench press 505 for 8 reps.
He had unbelievable
the triceps.
Yeah.
Mr. World, I think he won one year. Yeah.
He, if I'm not mistaken, I think maybe a couple of years ago I saw him still wrestling.
Tony, I don't know.
He's about your age, isn't he?
He's younger than me, but I broke him in.
Yeah.
He's probably in his 60s though.
Late 60s?
Yeah, or mid, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your favorite match to be a part of? If one match you says you're gonna remember you remember this match forever.
Because they bring it up almost every year. Either the I Quit match I had with Terry Funk in New York, Clash Champions, or the match with Steamboat, or first night I met Jim Harbaugh in '89, called Chi-Town Rumble, where I dropped the title of Steamboat.
Right. So when you go into a match, how did they decide, like, okay, Rick, tonight you're gonna lose the belt. Okay, Rick, tonight you're gonna keep the belt. How did they come to that decision?
Promoter just asks you and you do it. See, that's why when I'm 16 champion, technically I've won the title 21 times.
Right.
You know, I told you about when we were in New Zealand, right?
Right.
I'm wrestling Harley. Harley goes to me, I wish you could have met him. Like this, he goes, let's do Ricard. Steve Ricard was the promoter.
Right.
A favor, and you drop the title to me tonight.
But that wasn't what was playing.
No, but he just called it. What am I going to say, Harley Race? And you pick her back up tomorrow, and then we head back to the States. I said, well, now I'll get in trouble. He said, no. Who's going to tell him here? I'll tell Ricard if he says a word. I'll come back and see him personally. Sure enough, they found out. So that's 16, 17.
Right.
Then I had the same thing in San Domingo with Jack Veneno.
Right.
The hot potato. We had a full-scale riot. They were trying to give me the belt. I said, I don't want the belt. Keep it. and then I went to go back and get it.
Right.
And then same thing in the islands were rough.
Right.
Trinidad with Brody.
Right.
Brody was a big, tough guy, boy.
Weapons, I mean, they have the brass knuckle match, you have barbed wire, thumbtacks, bats, sledgehammers. I mean, so how did you know to like the tape, and sometimes they have the tape on the wrist, and how did you know?
I just wore mine on my finger.
Yeah.
Some guys carried it in their mouth. I didn't like that.
No.
So, and the guys carried it on tape like that.
Right.
I kept it right there.
You didn't, you weren't scared that?
Never. I got to the point where I couldn't work without it.
Really?
In an hour. Sometimes when you're wrestling a guy that can't wrestle, Jen, it's like, it would be like you got an 11-year-old kid trying to throw to you.
Right.
With, I'm trying to think who's a great corner.
Oh yeah, what the corners now? You got Pat Sertan, you got
With a guy like
Deion Sanders.
Right.
Yeah.
An 11-year-old kid trying to throw to you, right?
Right.
So I wrestled guys like that, and for an hour, the abdominal stretch ain't getting it.
Right.
Put the sleeper on, right? I mean, the guys can't do it.
Right.
But the promoters, they wanted to get that. They didn't want to get beat. They were their hometown hero.
Have you ever? When was the last time you wrestled a match and you didn't bleed?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't bleed at all in the latter years of WWE.
Right.
No, he got real strict about that.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Jericho hit me with a TV monitor.
Right.
When we were doing that thing with Mickey Rourke, and he fined Jericho because I didn't put my hand to block. I'm just trying not to, right?
Right.
He put 25 stitches on me. He didn't fine me, but he fined Jericho 25 grand.
Wow.
And Dave Bautista cut himself in a cage match one night, and Vince fined him 100. And when Vince lays the law down,
none of that. So guys don't bleed anymore.
No. Wow. AEW allows it.
Right.
But it's not mandatory. It's optional.
Right. The worst injury that you've suffered.
It's just so hard, and that's I know this is old school, but you grew up on old school.
I did.
So if you throw a guy into a cage match, bang his head, bang, and he doesn't bleed, right?
Right.
How is that? That's the phoniest part of it all.
Right.
But in the old days, what you liked when you saw us bleeding,
right?
You couldn't wait to see.
Yeah, I see a guy get hit with a chair. I'm expecting his head to open up.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to.
Yes.
So that's why the headshots are out.
Right.
But those are pretty much out everywhere.
Seeing you had a torn rotator cuff, tricep, staples in your head, concussions. You never had hip, knee replacement.
No, I've never had a concussion that I know of.
Really?
No, I probably have, but I don't.
They probably didn't call them concussions back then. You got your bell rung.
Yeah, exactly.
So if Ric Flair, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take you all the way back. If you had to do it all over again, what would you change?
I don't know. I get to ask that question a lot. I don't know. I couldn't have been a world champion. Here's what my best answer I can give to that is why am I looking up at 74 to be sitting here with you? That's how I look at it.
That's how you look at it.
So when there's things I've done wrong.
Right.
But maybe I wouldn't be here with you.
Right.
And at 74, what 74-year-old ex-wrestler sitting here with Shannon Sharp?
True. Obviously, The Rock is right now, but it's of that old guard.
No, but I'm answering the question.
You wouldn't.
You don't.
You wouldn't.
How many wrestlers does Stephen A? The highest rated thing on ESPN, I would assume, for a steak is. I'm going to kill that bad dog.
He's bad dog.
He bad-mouthed Harbaugh yesterday. The first 3 days of the week with you guys are the best.
So was pay-per-view the game changer for wrestling?
Yeah. So much money.
Because that was when they first did the WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where the big money is.
Right.
Yeah. But it's what's amazing to me, and I'm sure you've thought about this too. When they do Raw or SmackDown or AEW as their shows, right?
Summerfest, whatever they get.
The arenas, even though it's on TV,
Right.
the arenas are sold out. And I can't imagine why anybody would want to sit in row 840
Right.
in the bleachers
Right.
when you could be home watching it on TV.
They want to say I was there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
isn't
just like in a football event or
Yeah.
you at the very, very top.
Yeah.
But something special might happen and I can say
Yeah.
I was at that game.
Yeah. What do you think about the guys playing in Europe on all this? You think they enjoy it?
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
Yeah.
They-
I didn't
they-
realize they go on Friday. I thought they'd go in England.
Some go on Friday, but I think the Dolphins went like on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, they did.
But a lot of times they say like if you're not going to go over there for the whole week, it's just best to go, Friday, play early Sunday, and hightail it back.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania is the Super Bowl for wrestling.
Yes.
It's the top of the top.
Yes.
And if you're the last match, if you're the
Main event.
how many of those have you done?
I've never been to main event.
You've never been to main event?
I've never been to main event.
Why not?
Well, I'm not taking anything away from me, but I was never really a big star in WWE. That make sense?
Yeah.
When you talk about the big stars of WWE, you're talking about
The Rocks, the
The Rock,
Cenas.
Cena, Hulk, Undertaker,
Right.
HBK,
Right.
I mean, all those guys. And I was a co-main event, I guess, with Randy Savage. Mm-hmm. But I've never been on last. My daughter's been on last.
Right.
I haven't.
Right.
So she reminds me of that periodically.
But I think the thing, without you and those old guards, there is no WWE.
Yeah, but you don't want to say that too loud.
That's the truth. They came along after.
Yeah, but I was a main event for 10 Starcades. You know what that is.
Yeah, you know what? And you mentioned that I forget who you told me you were fighting in Puerto Rico, and they tried to give you the belt. You're like, nah, I don't want the belt.
San Domingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Veneno.
You're like, nah, they gonna ride it.
You know who was sitting in the front row watching? Albert Pujols.
Really?
Yeah. First time I saw Albert, I didn't know at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, nah. You like, I don't want the belt.
He became an international hero when he beat me.
Wow. So how many times did that happen? I remember you said something earlier. You said like local promoters, when their guy was fighting, they wanted their guy to win.
Yeah.
And you acquiesced to that. You're Ric Flair. These guys are not Ric Flair. And you was like, okay, cool.
They wanted to go an hour. I didn't. No, what happened was that with the NWA champion, either the champion got his Duke raised,
Right,
or he won an hour.
right.
That was the rules.
Are the rules similar now?
No. Hours are pretty hard. It's hard with television and that to put together an hour.
Yeah.
There are some guys that can do it. They're few and far between.
Right.
Because they're not trained to it.
Right.
In all fairness, it's like, you're trained to be a specialist at that.
Right.
When I first got the belt, I thought I was the greatest. I found out in about 2 weeks that I didn't know shit. Seriously, I didn't know anything.
Because what comes along with
Because I was wrestling Wahoo and guys like that every night. All of a sudden, I'm in Kansas City with Bob Brown. Or I always crack on Kansas. I feel bad, but in Wichita, in front of 200 people,
Right.
going an hour. Whew.
wow. Is Vince McMahon the greatest wrestling promoter?
Yes.
What makes him so good?
Afraid of nothing. He used to say to me, the only thing that I compete with, and only because of their brand name, is Disney, Walt Disney.
Right.
He did. I'd say to him, how do you, because he and I got to be, I could talk to him. We really could relate once in a while. And I'd say, how do you keep your game face on? Because he never lets the game face out, right?
Right.
So I got 300 people in the building here right now. They're depending on me to keep my game face on.
Right.
And he's got a set, man.
Did you always have? What's your relationship with him like now?
Well, I don't talk too much now. I saw him at WrestleMania last year. There's a lot's going on.
Right.
No one's. It's not privileged information.
Right.
So I just think he's on the down low.
Right.
I know Taker went to Saudi to watch Fury with him because Tyson's worked for us before.
Right.
Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah, Mike trained that kid.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Mike Tyson.
Me personally, I think Ngannou won.
Yeah, me too. I'm watching him going, are you kidding me?
I think he won.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they have events like now?
They paid Mike a fortune for that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, he did a great job.
Mike's in good shape.
Yeah.
I just saw him the other day.
Yeah.
He runs every day. He's standing.
Like the Super Bowl, America, like the Super Bowl. The NFL will bring their best players. They'll bring some of their greatest, the Lawrence Taylors, the Joe Montana, the so forth and so on. They'll bring those guys back. When they have WrestleMania, do they bring the older wrestlers, the great older wrestlers back? Mm-hmm. So so you still feel close to the game to the sport of wrestling.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel close. I think some people are upset with me now that I went to work at AEW. I don't know why.
Right.
But you think I guess, and I'm sure you feel the same way. If you're acknowledging and you think I've contributed to the business, right? And I know I have because I hear it every day.
Right.
You would think that they would let me do whatever I want to do.
Right.
As long as it doesn't affect them.
Right.
I'm not going to get on TV and say AEW is better. I'm not doing something stupid.
Right.
I'm just working.
Right.
That's all I know how to do.
Right.
But they're mad. Not mad, but they did something I'll tell you off camera.
Is it that you're bigger? I mean, look, they got some, but their stars are not you. I mean, unless it's The Rock or one of those guys, that guy's not you. Not you, Rick. Those guys that's wrestling now, everybody knows who you are. I mean, you're in songs and everybody like, man, that's the Nature Boy. Everybody can't have that.
I know. But people begrudge me that. You don't.
No.
But you know the old saying that you want to hear someone doing good but not too good?
Or not better than me.
You're not better than me. Yeah. That makes sense?
Yes. Oh, I forgot some of the guys that also played. Luger played football, Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
Yep. Yeah, Brock almost made the Vikings.
Yes.
And hadn't played football since high school.
Right.
He's a beast, man.
What football player did you think could be a professional wrestler now?
Well, he did. He did a hell of a job. LT wrestled. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
Yeah, LT's just a different cat,
right.
Man. I mean, Jesus.
Rodman wrestled.
Dennis did, yeah. Dennis and I are good friends.
You think Dwight Howard would be a good wrestler?
No. I think he's too lanky.
Too lanky?
Yeah. I don't know how his knees are and all that. It's
right.
It's a stop and a start.
Right.
I love Dwight, but I think I heard he's trying to get into NXT too, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's a little bit too late. It takes a while to learn your craft.
Right. And then you need to be really young to take those falls. As you get older, falls hurt more.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a long time. It's like our saying is, time off is your worst enemy.
Right. So is that why guys rush back so soon from injuries and things like that to wrestle, because you said time off is the injury?
No, I mean in terms of your skin.
Yeah.
Mat burns and stuff like that. No, I think that they're very conscious of people coming back too early.
Right.
Because, when you tear a tendon and stuff like that, and look at this poor thing. I mean, I've never met him personally, but when I heard that Watson played that whole game with that shoulder.
Yeah, broke shoulder.
That's pretty courageous.
Yeah.
A lot of guys would walk off.
I'm looking at celebrity guys that's wrestled. Mike Tyson, Mr. T, Snoop Dogg, Shaq.
Yep.
What about Shaq?
Shaq did a good job.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Mayweather, Gronk.
Yeah.
I mean, And now you see Logan Paul and Pat McAfee wrestling.
Yeah.
What do you think about Logan Paul? You think he's doing a good job? You think
I think he's doing a real good job.
Right.
Yeah, he's better than some of the guys that have been doing it. But I didn't know that Shawn Michaels was training him personally. So he's not afraid to do anything.
Right.
And some of that stuff he does, for a guy that hasn't done it his whole life,
yeah,
I love it.
So what's it like? I mean, because you mentioned Lawrence Taylor, and he's a friend of yours. Pete Rose, Charles Barkley.
Yeah, real good friend.
Yeah. So what's it like? Because Rick, you're one of the few wrestlers that have celebrities outside of your sport that embrace you. Football players, actors, actresses, like I said, rappers, baseball players. They hang with the Nature Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Charles Barkley, he just asked me and Wendy to go to the who was in town, I can't remember. Anyway, to a concert in Atlanta, but we were in Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
How
he owns a suite in the Ritz.
Yeah.
In Atlanta. He bought a suite.
So he stays down there now, huh? Instead of traveling back and forth, because he got a place, I think, in Philly and in Arizona. Yeah. You wrestle 50 years, and Tom Brady played 23 years. LeBron is now in year 21. What is it that allows you to wrestle as long as you did, at the level in which you did, and guys like Tom Brady and LeBron to play as long as they have at the level they have?
Well, for LeBron, I think it's just, number one, he's got an unusual gift, but he also trains like a madman. I don't know. I just think that Tom Brady, for that mild-mannered demeanor and that, I've heard that he's a brutally fierce competitor.
Yes.
I mean, he's not afraid to scream at somebody.
Yeah.
But you don't see that when all you see is this incredibly handsome guy, you know. But I've heard that he just pushes himself.
Right.
And he expects everyone else. He'll let a guy know if he drops the ball, you know what I mean?
Right. When you kept wrestling and people were saying, man, Rick he's tarnishing his legacy, man. He needs to just go out on top, man. When you hear that,
I know what I'm going to say when I hear it next time. I just was on Shannon Sharp show. Where were you?
But you didn't feel like it's your legacy. You felt you should be able to wrestle as long as you wanted to wrestle. Considering your contributions, you should be able to hey.
What I want to do.
Right.
And then once again, if you could do it, you would too.
Right.
And not you.
No. The other people there. Yeah. The match Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24 in 2008, it was praised as the match of the decade. Is that when you actually wrestled him, is that when you realized just how great he was? Or you knew?
No, I knew how great he was before that. I had no self-confidence back then.
Right.
He's the first guy ever, not even Harley Race said to me, he said, just shut up and listen to me out there. And then we said, he looked right in front of me, and we call it Gorilla.
Right.
In front of Vince, the whole place is sold out. Shut up and listen to me. And I could have gone on, they offered me to be the main event with Shawn at there, but I said it's got to be the world title. So I missed that one opportunity.
Right.
Vince has treated me like gold.
Right.
Anyway, and he worked for both of us.
Right.
He did all my spots. He took a slam off the top and all. I was dying.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did your wrestling career impact your kids and your relationship with your kids?
In Korea?
No, your kids, your wrestling career. Because you're on the road. You said you have been.
I never saw him. Yeah, and I never expected when I got divorced, I never expected Leslie to move to Minneapolis. So one place NWA didn't go. So I think I only got to see him in the summer for a month.
Did they hold that against you?
I think they did then. But I'm just still so close to both my daughters. You know?
Right.
You look at life at the end of the day and you go, this is another saying that we say, well, when you're 50, if you have 5 friends, you're lucky, right?
Right.
I'm 74, I've got 10. And I got 50, and I just made another one today.
Right.
And I'll be texting every time I see him. Tell that guy, thanks, Stephen A.
Your daughter said instead of time, he would bring me back like 16, 20 Cabbage Patch Kids at a time.
Yeah.
Because you understood what it was going to take to get for them to live the type of lifestyle. Kids don't understand it. Mm-hmm. Kids don't understand, like, they have no sense of money and what it takes to go to those private schools and to get whatever they want to get. You understood it. They want time. And I think now, as they're much older, they understood what you were doing.
Yeah.
So do your daughters have kids of their own?
My oldest one does, yeah. My youngest one, not yet.
Yeah.
She's right in the peak of her career.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know. I think she's trying, but she's so damn good at what she does. Right.
I mean, you've seen her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think that's what when did she tell you, like, Dad, I want to wrestle?
She never even watched it. I mean, she came to see me, but she didn't watch wrestling. She was watching Grey's Anatomy or
you watching other things other than wrestling.
All that stuff, right? And but we were in Miami for the Hall of Fame, and one of the guys that worked in the office looked at her and said, "Why aren't you in the wrestling business?" Because she's a world-class athlete,
right?
And she looked at him and said, "I don't know." And she got up and walked away. And I watched her walk around the room. I knew what was coming next. She walked over and sat down next to me. "Dad, do you think I could do that?" And my exact words were, I said, "I'm sure you could, but why do you want to?"
Right.
And in June, she was in Tampa. Wow. No, that was April. In July, she was in Tampa.
Wow. But you never tried to push, you never tried to sway them either to do it or not to do it.
No.
That was going to be their decision, and whatever they decided. Mm-hmm. Your son's death.
Yeah, she actually fulfilled his dream. That's kind of our.
You found him. You found your son, correct?
Yes.
So, because he was going to be the wrestler, he was going to follow in Daddy's footsteps. He was going to take on the Flair lineage and keep this thing going. How did that impact you, Rick?
Killed me.
Did you know he was dealing with these demons?
He'd been on life support 4 other times.
Oh, man.
4 other times.
You try to get him help, stays clean for months.
10 rehab centers. 9 or 10. I think it's 10. But everywhere from Phoenix to Colorado. One time he lost complete. He used up his right leg at the Red Center of Colorado, where he was mountain climbing in a rehab facility. Mm-hmm. The last time before he died, his oxygen level, the thing to put in everybody right, was at 42. The doctor called me and said, when I called the minister, when he wakes up, he'll be brain dead if he makes it. I said, yeah. And I went in the room and I went and told everybody. He woke up, nothing wrong. The doctor looked at me. He's an Indian doctor, right? From India. I mean, Indian. He goes, you just saw a miracle. I've never seen that, because your oxygen level just can't be that low.
That low.
For 24 hours. It can't be that low for 5 hours.
Wow.
And that's the guy's honest truth. So I was so upset with him, because he wasn't drinking, but we found pills. I'm just glad I opened the door. I went and met my daughter, and I said, I'm just going to leave Reed home. And I went and opened the door, and it's like the same thing. I've seen them in purple, and they come and shoot them with Narcan, and the same cops, same fire crew. I mean, Charlotte's a small town. And they came, and I walked out in the hall. And the guy said, he said he didn't make it. I walked across the street to a bar. That's truth. And I just drank for 5 years.
You blamed yourself?
Yep.
Why? Because you don't think you were a father, you were more of a friend?
Yes.
What could you have done differently, Rick?
I don't know. I traveled the world with him. I took him to Japan and Europe, and everything. We traveled together. I don't know. Don't know what could have done different. Except, that's all these guys. It's so easy for these doctors to say, you got to let them bottom out, kick them to the curb.
Right.
And I just could not know.
You could not.
I could not know. Not they died. I wasn't there because I kicked them out.
Right.
Then I can't imagine how someone would feel in that situation.
Right.
You're not welcome here. You can't come home. You're kicked out. And the next day he's dead.
Right.
I don't know what's worse.
You never turned your back on him.
Never.
I mean, but that has to make you feel good. You was fighting for him to the very end.
Yeah. Well, you find out that heroin is not an addiction, it's a disease.
Right.
But he was doing so good, he'd come back from Japan. I brought him back to take him to WrestleMania to watch Ashley debut. And we were leaving, Wendy and I, and Wendy was with me. We were leaving. And I'd gotten him 2 gigs that weekend before WrestleMania for $1,500 a night to wrestle, make some money while I was here. And that was it.
How's your health?
Great.
I mean, your kidneys failed. You placed in a medically induced coma, and you told us earlier they had for 6 months. You didn't remember anything back.
Nothing.
But you're good. But you're good now. You're healthy as a horse.
Yep.
So what's it like to be a grandfather? You say you have grandkids now.
Yeah, I only get to see the one a lot. The other ones are in Minneapolis. My oldest granddaughter is fabulous. Yeah, she comes to visit, and she's a sophomore at Alabama,
Right.
of all places.
Marriage. You believe in marriage, not dating. You like, hey, met your beautiful wife, Wendy.
Yeah,
You lost a lot of money through divorces, though, Rick.
yeah, and attorneys,
And attorney, yeah.
and the IRS. Yeah. When the wives won't sign the returns, then they get away with it.
Right.
What can you do?
Are you interested in having any more kids? I see Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and they're older than you.
Wendy.
Wendy?
He's got 4.
Wendy gave us the sign off camera like,
He's got 4.
Yeah, Wendy's kids are my kids.
Yes.
By her first marriage.
Right.
I've been with them for 13 years now.
Wow. So what's your favorite sport? Outside of wrestling, what's your favorite sport to watch?
Oh, NFL and football.
Who's your favorite player?
My favorite player right now in the league, Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron.
You like?
I hope he comes back.
Right.
And I hope the Jets can come back. I don't want to see him get hurt again.
Right.
But I can't get over the way he has that. I mean,
That quick release?
He didn't have it, and I mean, it's accurate and
Right.
strong. I guess my favorite player right now, I love Travis Kelce. I've never met Patrick Mahomes, but met Travis. I'm really happy for the Tua kid.
Yeah, Tua,
yeah, because last year that was just horrible.
Right.
But he's having a hell of a year.
Yeah, he's having an
There's a
unbelievable
lot of
year.
parity in the league. That game tonight's a big game.
Big game.
Yeah.
So who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to win the NBA?
You play for the Ravens, right?
I played for the Ravens. Won the Super Bowl in 2000.
With John. No, Bill.
Brian Billick. With
Brian Billick.
Yeah.
He was in Minnesota. Too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Who you got winning the Super Bowl?
Well, just because it's so damn entertaining, I hope Dallas gets beat.
Oh, you want to get, because Stephen A, if Dallas win the Super Bowl, Stephen A gonna have to take off for like a month.
I know. He won't fill out on TV. You won't let him. I'll be sitting in that chair, the co-host.
Yeah.
No, but it's so entertaining. I mean, I look for that, and he's got a gift.
Yeah.
He's got a gift,
Yeah.
and he can give it and take it. So, I really like Philadelphia. I'm really happy for that kid from
Hurts.
Hurts, the other one,
Yeah.
who transferred to Oklahoma and all that.
Yeah.
He's really playing well.
He's playing unbelievable.
With a bad wheel. So.
Yep.
I don't know. I love the event.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite this year, really.
What football player or basketball player is like Ric Flair? If you had to say who embodies your personality?
Well, he's really slowed down a lot now by LT.
Yeah.
I used to run around with LT.
Right.
When he had
Yes.
that nightclub.
Yes.
With him till 3 a.m. at LT's. He came to see me wrestle.
Right.
In the Meadowlands. He was driving that blue Jaguar. One way, he went the other. The next day, he had 3 sacks. It was over 4 o'clock in the morning, and he had 3 sacks.
Oh, he was unbelievable. This story.
Yeah.
LeBron. You love LeBron.
I do.
Jordan and LeBron. Best player. Who you got?
I got LeBron. Yeah. I don't know what else he can do.
Wow.
And you know, I mean, I'm not sure if you were part of that debate or not when he said that everybody's already saying that Miami made his career.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that. I think wherever he would have gone. I mean, if you look at him now. I mean, he defies everything.
Yeah. I think the thing is that individually, but I don't think we're going to look at him the same individually if he doesn't have those championships. We can't.
Sure. I know.
That was my argument. People like say, oh, you try to say he's going to. No, I'm saying we're not looking at him through the same lens because he has 2 regular season MVPs and 2 finals MVPs. You can't say, well, if he went to Miami for a reason.
Yeah.
There was a very specific reason that he went to Miami.
Yeah.
So, no, I do believe individually, but I don't think we're going to look at him through the same lens as we look at him now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I love Michael Jordan. Who doesn't, right?
Right.
And Barry, you talk that documentary they did, The Last Dance.
Yeah.
He was intense.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm real close to Dennis. So,
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. I mean, I really enjoyed that. But he's an intense guy too. Michael didn't mind screaming.
Yeah.
I don't see that in LeBron. I don't see LeBron screaming at guys.
Nah, he's not. That's not the way he leads. Not to say there's something wrong with someone else leading that way.
Yeah.
But that's just not the way he chooses to lead. There's a video of Shawn Michaels telling you, "I love you" before kicking you. That meme on. So, have you seen it?
Yes.
How would Ric Flair have done in the 70s, 80s, and 90s with social media?
Huh. You'd be over in San Quentin doing an interview. Isn't San Quentin in California?
It is.
Yeah. Are you kidding? You already know the answer to that. You've heard the stories.
What does it mean to be in the Hall of Fame? And many say you're the greatest wrestler of all time. Mm-hmm. Not just because of the longevity, but because of what you meant to the sport, the way you carried the sport, the way people, when they think of wrestling, they're not going to be but a hand, if there are any, going to get mentioned before yours. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Being inducted in the Hall of Fame you know the story. I talked for like 45 minutes, and I just had to thank everybody. And in my life, my career has been so long.
Right.
And I left some people out. I mean, but I was trying to get everybody in. And I ended up, it was wonderful. It was tremendous. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Hall of Fame is, I mean, it was sold out. I think it was the first time I ever went to a big venue. And you don't know what to expect. Because Orlando was a town I wrestled in, but I didn't know what the crowd would be. It was like, the whole weekend was magical. And then the next day they did that tribute to me. And I And the day after I left, I went on a cruise, and I was lost.
Wow.
On Tuesday, I was lost. Nowhere to go to. No one to ask about the ratings. You know how it works, right? Like,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Like I'm back in the business now, right?
Right.
And every segment I'm on, right? I'm just like I did my whole career. You can't wait till 5 o'clock.
Right.
Till the rating comes out and what your segment,
Right.
your quarter hour.
Right. That's important.
Yeah. It's what we live for.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on that.
Rick, thank you for giving me some of your time. I really appreciate it. It's
Thank
an
you,
honor
sir. I'm
to have
honored.
you on Club Shay Shay.
Thank you, sir.
Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Thank you.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.